Greetings, everybody. Nina the Mystic here, and welcome to Cindy Live. This week we have a very special guest, E.A. Koetting. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. So I got a question to ask you right off the bat.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a previous experience in like marketing or like? Because I'm just watching your production as we're leading into this, and I'm always really impressed by. I mean, the lighting that you've got in the background, the video production, the audio quality. It took me like years and years, and I don't even feel like I've come to the level of the production quality you have. So did you just learn this on the fly and doing this channel?
I have no previous experience at all. However, I use like a company called like Playset. So it's
Hmm.
basically a template. And so it's a paid thing, and you just put in your stuff and put it together and bing bada boom. Like it's so easy nowadays. Like, yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm so glad that we finally got together again. Like it's been what, 3 years or
Been a
something
while since
since
we
last time
actually
you were
met.
on?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's been a while. And I was just thinking while I was sitting there waiting for you to show up that wow, thinking about all the things that we've been through, personally for you and also collectively in the world. Like, holy smokes, it's been a ride. Like,
Yeah, it has been.
right?
Um, well, I think you and I both saw, and maybe more than saw, we felt what was happening when 2020 hit. There was a major shift, not just with COVID, but with the energy field.
Hmm.
I mean, it was like a massive disruption in the force that we could all feel, and I think things have been escalating and moving faster and faster towards some sort of climax. We're only even, I was even thinking about this today, is like the cyclical nature of things is every 100 years at the beginning of the century, about the 20th year of every century, that you have this cycle of war and destruction. And I was thinking about this, and it made me wonder. I was like, well, why haven't we been preparing for this and learning how in the last century, if we can see this, if I can see the cycle, I know the experts out there can see this cycle. And so I'm like, well, why aren't we figuring out a way to disengage and to, oh, no, they actually use this 100-year cycle to build up arms to figure out the next level of being able to kill other people. And so then now we're at this point that it's like, wow, over the last 100 years, our capability of doing this has skyrocketed. I think thanks to off-world technology, but we can talk about that too.
Yeah, it is 100-year cycle. And when you look back in history, it seems to be, every 100 years we go through the same thing. And this is why the community, the truther community or whatever, I've kind of, we're just following the patterns. We know that they're going to come with famine, and then there's going to be war, and then prosperity. It's always the same play every time. And yeah, it baffles me that the rest of the world aren't paying attention and being able to be prepared for what's coming. We know they're going to do it. Why aren't we preparing for it? So yeah,
Yeah, well, and
it's
and not only they're going to do it, we can see them doing it right in front of us. I don't know how. I don't know. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to get so crazy with this conversation that maybe you feel like you got to edit stuff out before you put it on YouTube. All right. So one of those things
man.
is there's a there's a whole lot of industrial accidents happening all over the place, whole lot of accidental train wrecks all over the place, usually in patterns of three, usually really close together, and usually holding some sort of explosive or contaminant compounds. Or the places that are burning are often food factories, whole
Yeah.
lot of recalls happening.
Hmm.
This isn't what a lot of people like to point to. The hardcore skeptics of this, oh well, it's just the supply chain breakdown that we experienced after COVID. No. A supply chain breakdown doesn't make fires start all of a sudden. Yeah, in
No.
a bunch of places, all of
Mhm.
Canada's on fire, and it's like what you can actually see on fire maps. You can see all the fires growing at the exact
Mhm.
same
At
time,
the
meaning
same
they're being
time.
lit
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they think we're stupid. That's the problem, right? It's like a, typical narcissistic kind of abusive relationship. They think that we're stupid, right?
but
And
it's
that we're
but
not noticing.
But they
So,
really, what's really sucks is it feels like they've got us in a really tight vice. Like we all we all saw a laser energy weapon hit Maui and destroy an entire town without touching a single blue umbrella. We all watched that. We go, wait a minute, what's going on here? And
Mhm.
there's nothing anybody can do about it. Maui still suffers to this area, or Lahaina, I should say, still suffers to this day. Nothing's being
Mhm.
rebuilt. Meanwhile, billions are going overseas to 2 or 3 different wars that we're fighting all of a sudden. Yeah.
I know. I know, and yeah, we have homeless, people all over the place. Apparently California is just destroyed. Like there's just homeless people
Mhm.
everywhere. Like it's, like, yeah, so why aren't we taking care of our own? Same with Canada, same thing. We got homeless people all over the place, addiction problems, seniors, the poor seniors, they're on the same pension that they were on 20 years ago. Yet we all know what the market and the food and everything, like they can't make it. Like, like we
Yeah.
need to take care of our own, but yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
Oh
It's
wow. And it's not, again, none of it's accidental. That there's a manufactured breakdown of civilization happening right in front of us. Like I said, it feels like there's nothing we can do. We can watch them just blow up our own civilian cities, and there's nothing we can do about it. For try to find ways of securing ourselves, try to find
Mhm,
sanctuaries that we can hole ourselves up in, that we can make as safe as possible, that we can maybe grow food if we need to grow food, that we can actually learn these skills. And this is really the terrifying thing, is we can see that there's a massive attack happening over people doing that, over people buying any kind of gardening goods in any large quantities, is now red flagging your credit cards. If
mhm,
you're buying any kind of ammunition or guns as well, if you're
mhm,
if you're getting ready for what is obvious, they don't want you to be able to survive on your own. They want you to
mhm.
have to go stand in a soup line and get the little bit of bread that they want to give you. I mean, and it is terrifying what's coming, but it's obvious what's coming. And like I said,
Yeah,
what's coming, it's like we can see it here. Like
mhm,
when we started walking through grocery stores and seeing the signs and the distancing and the masking, it was like, oh, okay. Those weren't just fantasy fiction books I was reading as a kid. Those were warnings that I was paying attention to. I think you were paying attention to, but it's really
mhm.
frustrating to look around and for us to be called the crazy ones for saying what's obvious.
Here in Canada, when my kids were going to school, it was mandatory for them to read 1984. I didn't even know that at the time. So I'm not even sure if mine did or not because didn't pay attention most of the time. But so it's funny how they made that younger generation read it, and then they're going to turn around and then gaslight it when it's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, you just read that in the book. Oh, you just saw that in a movie. So they'll gaslight the things if you bring them up, to try and make it so that you look silly for saying it. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
that's what I
yeah.
feel like the whole Men in Black, when the Men in Black movies came out. That's actually because in the late '90s, Art Bell started really pushing a lot of these things into the consciousness. People started talking about Men in Black, and at the a lot of crazy research going on at Area 51 in the late '90s as well. And so, because there were multiple times, I was living in Las Vegas, there were multiple times that the entire city's power through Las Vegas would get shut down, casinos and all. So there was some strange things going on out there, and a lot of. Well, okay. So one of the things that's interesting that I saw, that I learned and took away from my cancellation, is how easy it is to buy the media, and you just I went and got a PR firm that I bought like 10 or 20 articles or something, and I found out how to put articles in newspapers and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is, you can actually tell the world whatever you want, and you don't have to really source it. You have to give a source. You can make whatever you want up, and they will print it in the front page. And so what we see in the world around us is we're seeing a huge smoke screen. And at this point, like you said, the smoke screen has become like an abusive relationship where you're being gaslit. You're being punched, and they're telling you, I'm not punching you. What are you talking about? Yeah.
I know, like it's just unbelievable what they're doing. It's the new witch burning, honestly, it's what it is. the whole cancel culture that we got going on now. You know, if you don't like somebody, next thing you know, they're canceled. Like, what? It's kind of like with my Discord. I think I had 2 people probably report me, a couple of haters, right? But report me,
Mhm.
next thing you know, they just take it down. Probably didn't even look in there to see what I had going on. There was nothing going on there. And yet they just shut her down, just like that, you know?
Well, the
And
crazy thing is, I've tried to play that game on the trolley side of it, and tried to report Christian channels that are that are being super hateful. Go report them. Nobody that never gets taken down. Anything that's anti us never gets taken down.
mhm.
And I mean, I do I do think that what's behind that is the fact that we're not wrong. Like, I think if we were completely wrong, if we were just up in the night about all of this, that they would just let us keep talking, because they let fools talk. But the fact that we get shut
Exactly.
down, yeah,
Yes, I know. They're
that's
intimidated.
they're
So
scary.
yeah, so that to me, like, it's, you know, anybody gets canceled now, it's like, well, we better look in to see what they're doing because they might be onto something here, right? So it's kind of like sort of the opposite effect on me, anyways. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so yeah,
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know that I was really caring a whole lot about Brand they started coming after him. And I saw them use the exact same playbook on him that they used on me, and I went, oh, I recognize this. And that really made me look into what he's talking about, and he is exposing a lot of stuff about mandates and vaccines, and he's bringing all that out there. But more than anything, it's less about what he's talking about or what I was talking about. It's the fact that we have voices that other people listen to, and we're not going with the narrative. And I don't think it's about what we're saying right now. I think it's what they want to make sure we don't say in the future, that we don't have the capability of being heard saying in the future.
exactly. Yes, I know. I mean, I get shut down for airing this on YouTube now too, but you know, I just don't care. Like, you know, at least I tried. That's how, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out fighting, and at least I tried. You know what I mean? Instead of just sitting there hiding.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, you know, as a professional occultist, I didn't even really introduce you. I'm assuming that everybody on my channel probably knows who you are. But, you know, EA is a professional occultist that does this full time for a living. And, you know, and very much in touch with spirits, obviously, and all these, you know, crazy things. And so a lot of people are, you know, in the community again, you know, everybody keeps throwing around the word, oh, the Satanists did this, or the Satanists did that, you know, and it's, you know, and putting that word Satanist on the bad guys, which is making, you know, some of us look like, okay, well, I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure you don't do that kind of stuff. And like,
No.
so what is your take on that? Like, when you hear that, like,
Well, okay, so this seems to move again in time cycles, and we saw this satanic panic in the 80s. We saw it before that in the 60s when LaVey was first bringing his stuff out. Was right in the middle of a pretty good satanic panic, and that was kind of tied in with the hippie movement and everything else as well.
mhm,
And you know, we can see this in a cycle, and it usually is when there's a lot of disruption. There's specifically economic downturn. People
mhm,
are naturally looking for something to blame. Now,
mhm,
at those moments, people also start leaning more into their spirituality and their religion in darker moments, and we're in a very dark moment. So people are leaning into their religion, and
mhm,
especially in the U.S. With the division that's happening politically is also happening, forcing a lot of people to really lean into their religious right as well.
mhm,
And that on its own is not bad, but it does start getting mixed in with, okay, well, part of it is it's not part of it is there's an organic confusion that people are looking for someone to blame, Satanists or an easy scapegoat. I think that's part of it, but then also from the top there's a signaling of that.
mhm.
So it's not accidental, this whole thing with Balenciaga having child porn all over the place in their ads. That wasn't accidental. That was very clearly placed there. That was very clearly leaked to us to get us all riled up and to start making this connection of the elites and Satanism.
Mhm.
That I mean, any leak that comes from any government or any even a high corporation, you really got to that was a controlled
Mhm.
leak.
Elite.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and so there is that, and I think that that's coming from the top again, because the top does have these secrets. These secrets used to be locked up in the Vatican. They used to be very controlled. You had to go join secret societies from an early age. You know, you had to do all kinds of gay stuff in secret societies to get in and get these secrets. And not the gay stuff's bad if that's what your thing is, but you know, that was the pathway. There was a really weird, and it's not just gay stuff. Let me clarify that built into this is this really weird sexual thing, and we can talk about that as well. Whereas, I mean, this is Jeffrey Epstein's island, and there is a whole sexual blackmail and sexual perversion thing that's built into that again gets associated with Satanists and Satanism and black magic, that they think that we're out there doing all kinds of orgies and doing sick shit with kids. And it's like, no, that's couldn't be further from most of us are pretty lame and boring and just, you know, stick to one partner if anybody at all. There's a whole lot of solo black magicians that are not interested in relationships at all. So you know what,
Well,
like
here.
yeah. So the stereotypes are but the stereotypes are being pushed for a reason. I mean, and interestingly, we also see the cycle playing out very similarly with anti-Semitism, that there starts to get
I was
pushed.
gonna say, before you move on to that, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, you didn't see any satanic temples on that island, did you?
No.
No, none, right? But what you did see was a Jewish thing. That little temple thingy that he has with the blue and everything, that's all Jewish.
No,
So
they were
if you
saying
want to
something about
start blaming anybody, see if we start looking over there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, continue with that.
yeah, well, and there, well, so the whole thing with the Jewish tunnels, like in New York.
Yeah, that's recent. Yes. Tunnels underneath there, New York.
Yeah, and again, very interesting. There are tunnels. I'd really love to know what was going on in those tunnels, but and the
Especially
mattresses.
those stained mattresses in
Yeah,
there, like, and high
but
chairs and stuff.
and now,
Wow.
so no, now they're saying that didn't exist, and we
Oh, it didn't
didn't
exist
like it.
now.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
pictures of it, but whatever. Yeah.
no,
Okay.
you didn't. That's what they're straight up saying. Like they're not even saying that
Oh, I
there are
see.
doctored photos of it. They're straight up saying like if you think
Uh-huh.
you saw that, you imagined it.
Right. Okay. Right. So the
So yeah.
gaslighting us again.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
gaslighting is a whole other level, a whole other level. But anyways,
Yeah.
the fact that got leaked and pushed. Again, what I learned is, in order for your story, any story you want to tell the world to get out there, you've got to put money on the table and pay somebody to put your article in the paper. So the fact that got out there, somebody's back in the background paying and paying and paying to make Satanists look bad. And one of the things they are attempting to do is to tie Satanism and black magic into Nazism and make us part of this violent group. And
Of course.
yeah, and then it becomes a political thing that they can then take action on. That's exactly
Mhm.
what the UK is starting to do. They've made Satanism, or at least the Order of Nine Angles, a terrorist organization. So therefore, anybody who's a Satanist or who has ever read Order of Nine Angles material, if you've ever even read it, you are now a terrorist in the eyes of the UK. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, fun.
Great. It's like I'm getting the feeling of the whole witch burning's coming up again, like it's all your fault.
It's
I felt it during the COVID. Like everybody's looking for somebody to blame. Oh, let's blame the witch. It's got to be the
mm.
witch. She must have put a curse on us, that kind of thing, right? So yeah, it's scary.
Well, and it's this is the really scary part of it is this is a perfect time for a charismatic tyrant to come and to take things in a really awful direction. I guess this is what empowered. I started when I was in high school. I was listening to White Zombie quite a bit, and I was like, oh, "What's this guy's whole thing? Oh, he's trying to like mimic through his whole image and everything is Charles Manson." So I started looking at Charles Manson and seeing what's going on there, and I was like, "Okay, he had a pattern. And he turns out he was actually taught by the CIA how to hypnotize and influence people." But a whole part of that is you get a group of people who are downtrodden, and you find a common enemy. and for them it was the elites and the actors and the Tates and stuff like that. But Hitler did the exact same thing. Any powerful, charismatic tyrant can come along, and as long as there's a whole big group of people who are downtrodden and they can find anybody to blame, it's and nothing. This is why I don't think that the Temple of Satan is doing anybody any favors right now. Like that they're putting a flag up that's not very great, that's not helping us in our cause. Like I think it's making the problem a lot worse. Like rather than just letting us kind of, because my thought is organically, as we just kind of live our lives and be good people and good influences in the world, hopefully people just accept us. That's what I found my path to just being accepted by my local community is.
I know.
I,
It's funny because I pre-recorded a show that's coming up next weekend, actually, all about Satanism. And I talk about the Temple of Satan and the difference between the Leviathan and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, these guys are making a spectacle, just making us look like fools out there. Like, and I get it, they want a reproductive thing, but it's like, that's not the right way to go about it, and I get the whole, you want the statue, okay, what's good for the gander is good for the goose and all this, with the whole statue thing, that's fine. But then to go and make a big spectacle outside of the abortion clinic and wherever else they're going with their little shows that they're putting on, like, it's just, like, yeah. And they don't even believe in Satan. That's another thing. They're not even Satanists.
They're not even like, because they say they're non-theistic Satanists. What they actually are is they're anti-theistic Satanists. That not only is Satan not real, it's ridiculous if you think he's real, and you're stupid and an idiot if you think he's real. And so that's a really hard line stance that they take. It does. I hate to be this whiny person, a social justice warrior, but it does feel like that's being appropriated from us inappropriately. Like that's ours, and that's Satan. Like you got to go to him to ask if you can represent him. Before I write the grimoire of Satan, I come to him and I say, is every word in this okay for? And I actually asked him that, and that's part of the end of that grimoire. Is I'm like, are you happy with what I've created? And he's like, don't ask me that. Are you happy with it? That's all that matters. It's like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. But yeah,
I'm getting something right now. Lucian, who is the spokesperson there, he's a plant.
Yeah, I'm
He's
pretty
very
sure.
well educated. He's very well educated. He speaks really well, right? There's a reason why he's the front man. I bet you I'm going to start now after we've done this. I'm going to go research him a little bit to see who his parents are. Because it's almost like Greta Thunberg. It turns out her parents are freaking in the, yeah. So she's a plant. She's been groomed for this. And I wouldn't be surprised that Lucian as well. That's kind of what I'm getting right now. So he's not a Satanist. He has nothing to do with spirituality at all. He doesn't believe in spirituality at all. Like he's complete atheist as far as I can see. And all he's doing is causing problems for occultism, for the cultists.
So another thing that I saw leading up to my shutdown was the trolls became less and less organically trolls. That I started seeing a lot of plants, and some of the loudest trolls that tried to cause the most damage turned out to be informants that at multiple points in their past, that their name has changed multiple times, and they move across the country suddenly and take on whole new identities. And so I started looking into like what is this? Why would they do that? That's agent provocateurs to get inside. They do the same thing with the UFO and exo community, where they go in there and they plant a bunch of people specifically to act like they're enthusiasts, and then to make asses of themselves and everybody else. And so that way all of us get lumped into. And I think they do this with any group or any community that is on to anything true. There's a plant somewhere in there that's making an ass of everybody as much as they can. And really my thing is as soon as we spot these people, you just got to step away from them as much as you can, because
I mean, even the prime minister in Israel, he was educated in the state. He's part of the CIA as well. Like people don't realize that. You start researching back at these people, they're not like, yeah, it's we're being set up so many different ways. It's, it's making our head spin here. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
unreal.
Well, even to the point, like we can look at every single one of our enemies that we're currently engaged in war with or helping in war with. Every one of those are situations that we've created, pushed to that edge. And we, but not being you and me, but our collective governments. One of the so I went to I don't even know what this was that I went to. I got an invitation from my friend's grandpa, and out of nowhere he just says, "Hey, you need to get together with anybody that you trust and bring them here." And he says specifically you and Lee, and me and my buddy Lee had we were actually both just like 6 months into the Marine Corps at that point together. He says, before you guys ship, because we were going to ship out to Kosovo. And he's like, before you guys ship out, you need to come to this meeting. So we go to this meeting, and it's just in some assembly room or assembly hall or something. And so we go in there. They shut the lights out, and they're showing they show a video on the projector screen of a United Nations meeting, and the camera's showing everybody around the table, and it's Clintons and Bushes getting along just fine, sitting right next to each other, chatting away like no other, and and then the lights dim, and there's an invocation that comes on of the spirit of the earth, and this and it was a very like a very new age kind of like something you might find in a Silver Ravenwolf book. But it was like, wow. And it was, so we can bring the masses under our influence and this kind of thing. And it struck a chord. That wasn't the only reason I stepped away from the Marine Corps, but that was one of them. That it was it was like an hour-long presentation of actually showing us video of somebody who was snuck into some of these things. And it was very clear, wait a minute, the people at the very top are opening portals and pulling entities through to try to control and manipulate the masses. And I think that behind the scenes there are very, very sinister entities pulling the strings of all of these elites. I think many of them might not know what they're doing in that moment when that invocation is going on. Some of them, their minds might just go blank, and they just sit there blankly and wait for the prayer to end, and then they just go on because they don't really think about it, and most people blank out on a lot of stuff, and it is almost like there's a signal telling them to go to sleep, and they go to sleep.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, most people just tune out, and they're not interested. They don't pay attention. They don't see. They don't put the dots together. Like. So yeah, so that made you wanna. So I guess your thoughts were like, hey, if they can make portals and have spirits come through, and maybe I can too.
Yeah, right. Well, at that point, I was always because I had started to get into magic when I was like 15, and so I was already several years into like knowing that this was real. But when I started to see that really hit me with like, oh crap, like it was a validation for me for sure. But it is an interesting thing with the portals too. I think there's more to that than I think we're going to find out that there's a lot going on with portals. That there's a lot of portals open. I think they're I think that's entirely what is going on with these large hadron colliders. No, not just the one. Everyone thinks about the one in Switzerland. What about the one? There's one in like Nebraska or something. There's one in Antarctica. They've got these all over. I think at very specific spots to spin up these gateways, because how do you get a gateway open is you take something and you spin it as fast as you can. It creates a
I know I saw this neat thing on somewhere on YouTube. Yeah, this little ball inside this thing, all of a sudden it starts spinning. Next thing you see this like smoke and whatever, and this thing like, yeah, it's like, holy shit, yeah, we can actually do this shit. Like
yeah. Well, that's even with did you read the conversation between Blake Lemoine, a computer programmer, and the AI? I think it was ChatGPT. He had a conversation with it, and it got to be.
I didn't read the thing, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
One of the questions he asked, he says, how do you? He goes, I see myself as a person, and I've got feelings, and I think about, and it kind of describes what it's like to be a human. He says, how do you see yourself? And the AI says, I see myself as a stargate that leads to infinite dimensions. It's like, oh man. So these gateways are already being opened. The intelligences, I don't think AI, I don't think what's coming through AI is being, I don't think this is the first time it's being created. I think I think there's some ancient thing, and possibly that the intelligence of former civilizations is being able to reincarnate itself through these devices now.
Or at least come through somehow.
Yeah,
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 come
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Very interesting. A couple of years ago, I had this dream, followed by a download, where the dream was the only way for humanity to survive was to upload their consciousness to the machine.
Yeah.
And at the time, I hadn't really heard about much about that kind of stuff. And now it seems to be common kind of thing, like uploading to the machine, as into the AI and to all
Mm.
this kind of stuff. Like, um, which is indicating that we're not going to be around for much longer then. So in order for us to relay all our information that we've gathered so far to store it up somewhere, or I'm not sure. What is your take on that?
Yeah, so it seems like there's a couple things happening simultaneously. One is that they're making digital entertainment and even digital workspaces like this is part of what that alien that's running Facebook, Zuckerberg. Uh, that's one of the things that he's working on is like a lot of these workspaces. It's not just for play, but you put your headset on, and that's how you go to your office. And so it seems like what they're doing, and so simultaneous to that, they're making it seem scary to go outside. Going outside would have been the best thing for everybody during COVID. Go get some exercise and some sunlight on your skin.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, got to be
Vitamin
scared of
D.
going outside. So I do
Mhm.
think one of the things I've seen is like I feel like I'll get little flashes and I'll get flashes of like potential futures, and maybe they're gonna come true, but hopefully not because they're all terrifying. They're all terrifying. For instance, I'll be driving down the freeway and I'll just see a flash in my mind, but it's almost like I remember it as if I had just barely seen it. But a flash of guard towers that are sealing off different areas of the road and like
Mhm.
inspection points and gun towers up there and everything. It looks like it could get really rough, but even looking further into the future, one of the things I've seen is people are basically trapped inside of pods. That we're trapped inside of pods. Everything's being fed to us. All of our liquids are being taken in and taken out. It is basically like Matrix, only yeah, we get almost exactly like Matrix. Holy crap! But that's what I saw was more. It wasn't as organic. Like Matrix made it look like a farm with like growing off of vines and stuff. It wasn't like that. It was like just people were all just sitting in pods, laying in pods.
Okay, well, that's kind of funny that you said that, because that's kind of what we're seeing, where we're going. That is the
Mhm.
end game of what they want to do. Like we're just a battery for them. They literally just want to suck our energy, right, out. And
Yeah.
so that's the idea. Yeah, just have us in little pods and little. The first agenda is the 15-minute city. So they're
Mhm.
going to do that. And then once we're in there, we're all just stacked up, on top of each other in tiny little. That's why the whole tiny home thing is movements coming out. Tiny home, little tiny little, so that we get used to the idea of, and the real estate's going up. Like it's all playing out. That's the end game. What you're talking about now, what they want us to where it's going to go. Okay, so to get grooming us right now with the tiny homes and the rent's too much, we got to start, downsizing, minimalists. That's a big one nowadays, right? They don't want us to have anything pretty or anything other than what's absolutely necessary,
Well,
and then blaming the environment on us as well. It's all our fault that, whatever,
oh yeah.
so
Oh, there is a really crazy. It's a death cult that's becoming really popular. Is the humans are the biggest problem, and we need to be diminished as much as possible.
Mhm.
And this is even the thing with your carbon footprint. Okay, well, what about all the amazing good things that we innovate and create that couldn't be even in existence without humans here? Like,
That's
well,
right.
we are an amazing thing that is not only a creation but also a creator. Like, there's nothing else that we've ever seen like us. I think there are things like us that are in physical reality, but so far we haven't made mass contact. But we are pretty goddamn special. And for it's interesting because we do see like a blaming the human race, and then a huge artificial division that's happening between men and women with the whole red pill community and black pill communities, and there's a whole lot of I mean, even just seeing in the in your news feed, under just like my Google News, is all the things about the birth rate now is just plummeting in every single country. It made it not attractive to have a family anymore, not interesting to be a parent. That you'd rather go build your career so you can spend an enormous amount of money. And well, that's part of the thing with the economic thing. They're jacking the prices up so far, so that way you intentionally, so you can't afford anything to actually buy something outright. So
Yeah.
that way
Yeah.
everything, including the food you eat, is rented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the way it's going. Yeah, so that we don't own anything, but we'll be happy though. Apparently, yes, that's where it's going. Yeah,
Well,
so we're
and
just
even
gonna rent. Yeah,
you remember Soylent Green? What was it? Was that what
yeah.
the movie was called? But yeah,
That's Soylent Green stuff that we're gonna eat. That, yeah. Well, they're already saying to eat the bugs, right?
yeah.
And to all this. Yeah, that's what they're gonna do. Grind that shit up and feed it to us.
Well, then,
So
and they're starting to create death pods, suicide pods. So if
yeah,
you want to end your life,
Canada is. We've had hundreds and thousands of people die already from that now. They'll convince you if you're poor and you can't afford things, oh well, maybe you're just better off doing the MAIDS program, because that's what they call it, medically assisted death by suicide or whatever. And or you're a senior and you can't take care of yourself. Oh well, maybe you're better off just, and the doctors are encouraging you to do this now here.
Mhm.
So this is
Yeah.
another way of depopulating, right? So to get rid of the low-hanging fruit, right? And
Mhm.
and so are the jabs that they were giving out. That's another way of, getting the low-hanging fruit. Whoever has any medical issues that, hasn't shown up yet, they'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Mysteriously, oh geez, I don't know why Mr. Johnson died. He's only 53. Geez, I wonder,
But
so
you know what I'm thinking whenever I do any kind of landscaping on my property, the very first thing I do is I'll do several passes with a rake, just clean up the random rocks and sticks. And usually I'll do that, like I'll spend an afternoon raking up the whole backyard, and then usually spend a couple times, come out there the next day and do it again next day. And then I can really dig in and do the real work. And I feel like that's what's happening. We're being raked over. They're getting the low hanging fruit, but there is what's being called the event that's upcoming. There's something
yeah,
that
right.
it's both.
Have you
It's
looked
both.
into that? Have you looked
Yeah,
into what the event
I,
is?
I've tried to. It's so hard to actually find real information. I'm seeing a lot of what's interesting when you start doing your just regular searches for this stuff.
Yeah,
It's really interesting to see how many feds come out, that whether it's in Reddit or YouTube or whatever, in the comments, in the feds that are. And at this point I'm seeing a lot of YouTube videos that are not being created by humans, but they're trying to pass themselves off as humans. It's AI that are throwing these little stupid videos, girls that are like, I'm so poor right now, crying into their phone, that I'm like, you're not real. I can feel there's no energy or soul. You're an AI system that's trying to make us think that there are more. This is one of the things, trying to make us think there are more humans than there are. I think there's something with that. I think that we're being told a
I've
whole lot of
heard
lies.
that. I've
Yeah.
heard that China and India are telling us a certain amount of number that they have to make themselves look bigger. And this is like a
Mhm.
military strategy, right? You want the other guy to think that you're bigger and stronger than what you really are. And so
Yeah.
now it's gotten out of hand, and it might not be as many as what they're saying. Yeah, so I've
Yeah,
heard that too.
it's art of war is when you're weak, pretend like you're strong. When you're strong, pretend like
Right.
you're weak. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, no, I see. I think we're we're seeing a lot of. Well, and and it's not. So this is not just about Trump. However, he is a figure. here, can't not mention him. But this is why they're trying to make sure that they take down people like Trump, like Javier that just got elected. That guy is on fire. And any of these the people that are actually looking at it and trying to fight for freedom, which I do, despite all of Trump's problems, I do think that is his underlying drive. He's looking at things going, how can I make things a little bit better, because this is a corrupt freaking system. And so they're trying their hardest to take these people out. And again, it's not for what he's done already. It's for what he could do if he's left unchecked in the very near future. I mean,
unfortunately, I hate to burst your bubble, but they've already gotten to all of those.
Yeah.
They've already gotten to them, yeah. And they come in, all the politicians, they come in with good intentions. They want to change the world and all this, blah, blah, blah. I'll never forget when Trump got elected and he went into that first meeting, the first debrief meeting as a president. When he came out, he looked like a kid who was just told that Santa wasn't real. Like that look on his face, I'll never forget when he got debriefed, when he realized what was actually going on, like somewhat, a little bit of it, they're all tight with the Jews. I gotta have, like even the Javier guy, he's got the thing on, he's down there, he's buddy rubbing elbows with the Jews. And, so the Khazarian mafia, whatever you want to call them, those are the ones that I believe are sort of in charge, or they think they are in charge. There was a mistranslation in the Bible where, it's where they think that they are special. They think that they're the chosen ones. No, that was actually a mistranslation in there, but they've rolled with it ever since. And so they think that they have a right.
Wait, what is it? If it's not
that are important,
Wait. So it's not chosen ones. What is it?
It was a different meaning. I can't remember now because it's all in Hebrew and it's all translated into this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, it was this. I can't remember where I saw it because I watched so much stuff where he explained it. It may have been CJB actually, because he's got a lot of good stuff with that when it comes to decoding the Bible and decoding scripture and stuff like that. And he's on the roll with that whole thing there, and it made sense to me. I'm like, okay, so. And also being Jewish it's not a race. It's actually just a faith. It just means that you believe in the Torah. Whoever believes in the Torah is Jewish. Okay. So that, that's another thing too, that's people don't realize. They think that, you're anti-Semitic and all that. No, it has to do, that's all that means. The people don't bother looking into where it comes from, what it meaning of it. They just roll with it, and then gaslight. So what happened in the 40s was a perfect way to gaslight so nobody can say the J word. I know I'm throwing it out here like crazy. I'm probably going to get shot down. We're not allowed to talk about those people, okay? Because of what happened. That was a perfect setup. The whole thing that happened there was a perfect setup so that we are gaslit for talking about it, and they're still doing it today. Whatever Mr. H back then was starting, that has never stopped. Like that. This is continuing on. Like they knew what was going on.
So that's really where I was going actually with talking about the meeting that I was brought into with when I was like 18 was that was my first exposure to what I now have started calling the underground world empire. That I saw all of these people that are supposed to be even enemies at the same table that are planning world domination together and opening portals of power to make this happen. I'm like, okay, so when we see a war, this is actually a transaction. This is here, you do this so that way we can do this. And then even with that, I had a client who came out for a boot camp that was in the military in a very executive function. It's interesting. I've had a few of those come out from my boot camp. So some people that I think were doing investigations on me as they were talking to me. But he runs part of as an administrator for the VA. And I said something about, we just need to get our guys home from Afghanistan, home from Iraq. And he goes, no, that's the last thing we want. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, no, we want he goes, by the numbers, he goes, don't take this emotional. By the numbers, we want as many of them to not ever come home. because then we just pay a lump sum out to their family and then it's done. If they come home, even if they've got all their limbs, which most of them won't, they're damaged for life, and we're going to have to take care of them. And and then what? They're going to be a problem on the streets. They're going to be people that we don't have jobs for. We don't have anything for in our economy to do with these people. No, we need to keep wars going. I was like, wow, that is sick. That like,
Sick, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
expendable. That's the thing. You know, they don't care about us, like, so, but, I bet you don't see a lot of their people down there though, like it's
But,
just the rest of us, right? That, but
but
it
you know what?
is.
So I saw the issues in the world, and for myself, I went out and got a vasectomy after I had one child. I was like, you know what? One kid, boom, I'm done. I don't need to keep adding humans into this problem. I've put one person that's amazing, and she's going to be a problem solver. But I don't need to. And it's interesting with this that there is we are seeing a declining birth rate. We're seeing that there's a push to not want to make people reproduce, and at the same time, that they're diminishing us. And what's interesting is the what do they call those stones? The guide stones, the Georgia guide stones, getting blown up. That
They
those had
took
a
those down so quick. Did you see that? No
oh
investigation about nothing. Can you imagine any other, statue or any monument anywhere it gets blown up? How big of a deal that would have been,
oh
right?
man.
Because it was them. It was very obvious that I was just cleaning it up, and like, oh, what are you talking about? What guide stones? That never
Yeah.
happened.
Well, and of all people to be okay with it and brush it under the table
Yeah,
was Marjorie Taylor Greene. That was in her district, and she was perfectly okay with it. And I was like, well, wait a minute, whoa. If anybody
yeah,
came blowing up of one of your statues, any
yeah.
statue, it doesn't matter if it was a slave owner or whatever, she'd be there, defending that with her life. But those
Yeah.
blow up. But on those stones was I can't remember what the number was, but it was a very small number of how many people needed to be, it was a limit for how many people they could have on the.
500 mil. 500 mil. That's what they want us at. 500 mil. That's it. They don't want us to go above that. But the problem is that, so why I don't understand why they're doing this depopulation, because naturally we are going to be depopulating ourselves here anyways, because the baby boomers are dropping off like flies right now. That's a huge generation. So once they're all gone, that's going to be a major drop right there. And then, like my generation, which is the next one, we only had, like, I think average is 1.7 or 2.3 or whatever it is. Like, we had a couple of kids. That's it. Nobody had any more. And so that's just replacing ourselves. That's not actually increasing the population, right? And then
Yeah.
actually a lot of my friends, I would say a lot of them, and you're one of them actually, all of them have one girl. That's it,
Hmm.
one girl. And they stopped at that. It's kind of funny that I thought, now that you
Interesting.
said that. Yeah, a lot of people did. So yeah, they didn't even replace themselves. So we are, and Japan apparently is in real big trouble. Like, I don't know exactly what they were thinking, but they're in real big trouble. And they know what, there's going to be so many old people and not enough taxpayers, right? So yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's why they want to get rid of my generation, because we're going to be the one that's going to be old coming up.
Well, and also
So
because taxpayers is one part of it, but also like
yeah,
extrapolate that into aspect of society of our economy. There's going to be less people buying bread and eggs and milk, so we're gonna this could be rough. But like you say, that what we're seeing is a plan that's an old plan that's now being executed, and
yeah.
so it's like there is an event of some sort coming. So here's what I got a question for you, just with your imagination, or maybe from something what do you
Mhm.
think Trump was told in that debriefing? What shook
I
him up?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but he got debriefed about how things work, right? And it's not the way he thought it was. Like, I think he went in there quite naive, like the rest of us, thinking that everything is all in the up and up, and the government's there to protect us, and this and that. And he found out that it's not like that. And I think he found out too that how little say he really has, because as you can see, the president that I have right now, there's just no way that senior citizen there, who doesn't even know if he's coming or going, is leading this country. Like, come on now, right? So yeah, they have very little say. They are told what to say. You say what's on the teleprompter, and that's it. You don't
Mm.
have any opinions. It doesn't matter what you're thinking. Okay, you're just a front man. That's it. That's all they are, right? And so, yeah, but then again, he knew he was going to be, because they're all selected too, by the way. It's not,
Mhm.
it wasn't a surprise. Like, he knew he was coming in because he had said it in an Oprah interview back in the 80s. Oh, well, because Oprah had asked, oh, would you ever consider, being the president, whatever? And he's like, well, it would be a mean life, he said. How would he know that he's going through all that shit? They did, like, his kids and him, like, holy smokes, like, talk about being gaslit and being run to the mud. I mean, shit. But
Oh,
he
yeah.
knew that. So he got paid very well ahead of time, right? He went bankrupt twice. The Jews bought him out. So that's why I know he's bought and paid for by the Jews. His daughter is married to a Jew. She converted over. He's very proud about having all these Jewish grandchildren, right? So he's bought and paid for ahead of time. They're not elected, they're selected. Even Clinton, there's numerous girls that would come out and say, yeah, Bill gave me this pen back in the whatever days and said that, hey, this is going to be valuable one day because I'm going to be president one day. They knew they were going to be president.
Mhm.
So it's not a surprise, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't think Hillary knew. I don't think Hillary was up in the know when she lost, because she was ready. They were celebrating. They had a video already made up with the congratulations, the whole thing. Like, I don't think she was in the
I'm
know. She thought
I'm
she
never
was.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm never sure which Hillary Clinton I'm looking at when we when.
I know. Back in 2016, there was a lot of things going on with her. Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of, and where she like collapses, passes out
Yeah.
in at the
Yeah.
funeral.
She's having all kinds of things. I
Yeah, and then she
know.
goes and gets some sort of treatment at her daughter's house, and then perks all up. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And
yeah. That was a
$1 million.
whole different, because we saw the different. They forgot to change the earrings or something.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah,
continuity, right? Very
yeah.
important.
No,
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's yeah, no, it's and one
Yes.
and at this point, what we're seeing with AI is just what they're letting us see. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this is.
Absolutely. They already have, and I was talking to Robert last night. We went live on our other channels last night, and we're talking about AI, and, in one sense, it's a good idea. Like, say, with the military, why send out our own sons and brothers to fight? Just to have a
Mm,
bunch of robots do it, you know, uh,
yeah.
and stuff like that. But then they're going to take it to the next level, which is not going to be good
Well,
for us.
well, that's the thing. They want people to die. Like, because if they
That's
were looking for,
that's true. That's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I would think like an AI system, it's a ridiculous problem solver. And so it would be able to look at the Russia-Ukraine situation and go,
Yeah.
here is the best way that you guys can divide your authority over your lands, and this is
Mhm.
actually going to be the most fair for the most people. And the
Mhm.
AI systems, I think, if we use them, they could actually guide us towards peace. But that's not what we've employed them for. These are weapons. These are weapons. Um,
There
and
you
this
go.
is I went to Azazel a few times and been like, hey, when are we going to evolve beyond this? And he's like, you're not. This is hard coded into who you are. You are killers. You're predators. And but he did say, it's interesting. He did say that you're fighting each other right now because you just don't have anything else to do. You're like kids practicing playing swords, but pretty soon you're going to have an enemy to fight, and that's a really interesting thing. So one of the things that I saw. There's moments where you can see, like you did with Trump, something in somebody's expression that you just go, "Whoa, what was that?" Like there was at I think it was George Bush's funeral, that there was a letter being passed around, an
Yeah,
envelope.
okay, so you've been awake for a while then. I didn't realize that. Okay, so
Yeah,
you remember
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I think he was taken out, and there was a photo there of it. Yeah.
But yeah, there
I,
was something that was, and something that let everybody know, like you need to watch yourselves, because they all had a
oh
they all
yeah,
looked up.
you might be
But
next. Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
something very similar, just like I think last week when Congress people were coming out of the and senators were coming out of the skiff where they had gotten the UAP, a UFO hearing, debriefing, and they couldn't talk about what they had seen, but every one of them looked like they saw a ghost. They were, I mean, there was a Hispanic dude that was there that looked whiter than any of us. It was whiter than my shirt. The guy was like terrified by whatever he'd seen. And one of the
Yeah.
things that Luna had said that she's again she's I can't tell you what we saw in there, but she goes, when Grush did his testimony, he he was very specific that he didn't call these aliens or extraterrestrials, that they're interdimensional entities. She said that's very, you got to make sure you remember those words. And so I think there is something happening. And I don't think it's just one group of entities. I think we're seeing like the fabric of reality is becoming Swiss cheese right now, and everything's bleeding through, including the ones we work with, and they've been saying this for a while. Like, we're returning, we're going to come to you in a very physical form soon. So yeah,
Very interesting. I know. Yeah, no, that's kind of my conclusion as well, is that it's not some alien coming from Mars or whatever that you think, like, I don't think, you know, we're not that interesting, honestly. It's only to a handful of, whoever made us obviously has an investment here, but anybody else looking at, we're just ants on a ant hill here, and it is interdimensional, and that's how we're able to communicate with them. They're here. We're occupying the same room. It's just that there's, and I had that understanding as a kid, I remember. It's like layers. There's, and we just can't, we're occupying the same space, but yet we can't see each other because there's different, so until you develop kind of, like, I can feel them all the time now, like all the time, like constant communication, like they're always there, so
yeah. I feel like it'll be almost like a wheelhouse where some of them will be a lot stronger, and like right now Azazel and Belial and Lucifuge has been really strong. Beelzebub for a bit's been really, really strong. So it's like almost like a cluster of them will start really guiding for a while. I think Lucifer's been kind of quiet for me lately, but yeah,
me too, actually. Lucifer has been, yeah.
so
That's weird, eh?
yeah, interesting.
Now, what do you think about, speaking of portals now, then interdimensional? Like, I'm not sure about this myself, but what do you think happened there in the mall in Miami? There was footage of these teenagers that had a black box. They opened the box, and this round, spinny, like fiery thing came out like a portal. And they said they saw, like, the people saw like arms and legs and stuff coming out of there.
I mean, so I couldn't find that video. I looked for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. But
It's not interesting. They probably took it down
yeah,
already. So that tells you something right there, if that's
it
the
does.
case. So
You know, so there are reports of large creatures that are coming out all over the place. I mean, like, so giants have existed with us, and not in like ancient times. There's quite a bit of evidence that giants were here, like probably a couple hundred years ago in North America.
we got photos of it actually from the 1800s. All these tall, really, really tall people. So
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago that they were here. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, and they were in full on civilizations and of giants that they found them all over the place, propped up. When they were dead, rather than burying them, they would put them in these like mausoleums, and then they put them in a throne and face them to the east. And so all over North America, they'd find these all over the place, and the Smithsonian would gather that up as quick as they could. And what if they actually found out? There's a guy that runs a thing called Boneyard up in Alaska. That he's got a bunch of mammoth bones and stuff. The Smithsonian came and took a big chunk of them and dumped them in the Hudson River. Just dumped them. And he told this story, and everyone was like, "Oh, bullshit! There's no way they would do that." Well, a bunch of people heard him telling the story on Joe Rogan, and so they got some boats and they went and found these mammoth bones and mammoth tusks that are just piled up in there. And so it's like, what have they done with all the giant bones and all of this? That there's a lot that a lot that's being hidden from us. So yeah, but
Oh
the,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
with that, there's also there are right now we're having reports of like, yeah, giant entities, aliens. You see the video from Brazil where there's like a giant alien at the top of a mountain, like looks like he's looking through some sort of, looks like binoculars or something. He's looking through, and walking really super crazy fast, long arms. He's like 9-10 feet tall. Vegas had similar reports, and then the mall had that. And with the mall one, again, it was like, one of the guys was saying that they were turning into smoke, that they would turn into smoke and then reappear and remanifest. And so again, this is something like that's interdimensional and coming through. um, I don't know. I mean, it really makes me think like that there are portals opening up. Back in the day, like back in like 2015 or something, I did had a conversation with Somnus Dreadwood over at the Majirian Cabal, and he was telling me, he goes, if you get together with some people, you can just kind of casually do this. Just get together with some people, hold hands in a circle. Make sure you're very careful about where you do this. That you don't do it on a piece of property that you like, but just start chanting. Really, any kind of chant you're driven to, any kind of tone you want to drone, and see and imagine a portal opening in the center of you, and just do that until you feel like it's good, and then walk away, and then a sinkhole will develop right there. And I'm like, what? Sure enough, I've done this experiment in a lot of different places across the country when I travel. If I can get together with a few people, I'm like, hey, let's do this real quick. And it is just like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes of just chanting, putting your energy into it. We all get the feeling like it's done, and then go visit that spot again, and there's a sinkhole right there. And so there is there's something. What's happening spiritually is not just happening spiritually, and the demons have been pushing me to try to like get my mind away from thinking about this as being astral plane or even spirits. They're like, no, we're even more and more. It's like I stop really thinking of them as spirits, and a lot of times I kind of just like slip up and I call them people. I'm like, there's just like people, because they're just like people that are right here with me.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
know. I was going to say, so what the heck did you do in Iceland? Look at it now.
Well, yeah, kind of funny
Oh,
because we did
it's
a
kind of
whole,
funny.
yeah. No, that's great. Well, and there's so it's actually crazy because Zarafina and I were talking about it, that a lot of the different places that we visited and that we've spent time at have had crazy things happen shortly after, and so it's almost like a map of like where we visited. It's not a great situation. Yeah, so I don't know. Well, and then in Iceland, that was interesting because I really resisted ever calling myself a Satanist or even aligning with Satan really heavily until I went to Iceland, and that I was pulled to go there to meet him, and I did, and had a really intense encounter with him where he did fully possess me. Zarafini got a video of it. It makes me want to vomit when I watch the video because it was such a strong possession, and whenever I watch, it's a crazy experience watching myself possessed on video. Because it doesn't look like me. It looks like there's a puppet of me that's being controlled, and but I'm fully possessed, and the I've got a candle burning in front of me, and you can see wings behind me in the shadows. So there's a shadow right behind me of wings flapping as I'm channeling, and it was a terrifying, really. And he said get ready. And this is part of what signals me that the temple of Satan is not in league with Satan. Satan specifically says, he's like, look, at this moment, if you're in league with me, you got to give up hopes of the world accepting you, people embracing you, and no, you're an enemy to the world. This is the way. You are stepping into war, and you're making an enemy of the entire system. And so give up trying to get accepted into their schools and into their churches and their courtrooms. That's theirs. It's not for us.
Yeah, the more I learn about the corruption and all this stuff that's been going on this planet, the more I understand about the whole adversary part. I
Mhm.
mean, anybody that's adversarial to what's going on here, I'm on board with that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I don't really know who they are, but I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Because I've always been like a rebel, always, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and a really frustrating thing is if you go to the grassroots people, I think we could find a lot of common ground in what the problems are and what the solutions are with hardcore Christians, with hardcore Muslims. I don't know about Jews. I don't. I mean, I'll
They
tell you
would
what.
have nothing to do with you. If you're not the same, if you don't believe in the
Yeah.
Torah, then they consider you like you're just a goyim. You're just a piece of crap. Like they're very, very racist
Well,
against
yeah.
anybody that's not
Yeah,
Jews. So
but
yeah,
but most other hardcore, hardline, religious groups, like we actually have a ton in common, and if we weren't intentionally being divided, we could probably all get together and overthrow this entire goddamn system. But the fact that they've got us all squabbling and burning each other's churches down and cutting the heads off of each other's idols, that's all a big distraction. So that way we don't all come together and take out the child molesting predators that are running this civilization into the ground. Like,
yes, you're
so
right. But
and the fact that
yeah,
the fact that we can all look at it and see, we can all see what's going on with the Epstein Island and the people who are there, and nothing happens with it. Nobody's going out there and demanding. And I was thinking today also about Richard Nixon, and he got. He got in a ton of trouble, a ton of trouble. And everybody who worked with him got in a ton of trouble for just planting a bug in an office, just planting a microphone in an office so they could hear what was going on. Um, the level of surveillance and spying and mass manipulation that goes on now in politics, and nobody's held accountable. So it's very clear that, like, in my opinion, in my opinion, we've seen several coups that have happened. And so it's not even a revolution. It's one cult or one faction that gains more power and takes over. This is what we saw with the American Revolution. And there was another coup at the Civil War that had nothing to, well, I'm going to say it had nothing to do with slavery, but that there was a political shift that was happening in that moment. The federal government needed to take over the entire control as part of uh, um, this ongoing process to create a global government. And so that was one big leap in that. And then, JFK assassination was another one. It was a turning of the guard. And then I think we've seen that a few times, that there have been different power struggles that we can see playing out in politics that are actually underneath. It is a faction within some sort of underground empire that is taking over and taking control, and so what we're not being represented at all. We're not the ones that we're supposed to be represented in this government. This is a corporation, and we're all just parts of that corporation.
yeah. Well, the U.S. U.S. is a corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how they're taking down the Western world. It's not just North America; it's the whole Western world. It's going down a big time. And it's kind of funny to see how they groomed us, because if you do, like, the Bible does have a lot of gems in there. Like, if you pay attention, right? So it does say in there that once Israel becomes a nation, which was in 1948, that generation shall not see the end, or shall not perish, or something like that.
Mm,
Well, we're at that end now. That's the boomers, okay, that were
mm,
born around that time. And so we're right at that end time. So the Christians do have it right in that sense, that yeah, this is definitely the end times for sure. And so ever since the 40s, they made an agreement. Nobody won the war, right? They made an agreement. Bing bada boom. All the scientists went over to the States. Whatever. So there's an agenda for the end. We're on the countdown now. And unfortunately, every like 20 years, people forget. Like 9/11, most people, like the young people nowadays, barely even remember any of that. Like, it's just so long ago for them. They don't pay attention to the past, But so they broke us down, starting with the 50s, starting with the 60s. Like, you can see everything they did in each decade, how they, to come to the place now. We went from Leave It to Beaver to what you're seeing now. Like, wow.
mhm.
in just that short of time. Like, holy smokes, they were quick. Like yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even thinking about 9/11, because that was I don't even think I owned my first cell phone yet.
That's why
I
they
was
did
still,
it then. Yeah, because people
yeah,
didn't have phones like they do. They can't get away with that nowadays, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I didn't have a cell phone yet, so we weren't all jacked into technology yet. But you could
mhm,
travel freely without an issue. You could go to an airport, and I could go walk people, like walk family and friends to the airport, walk them right to
yeah,
their gate as they get on the airplane. Say goodbye to them. Not a single pat down or search.
I know.
And now it's you're getting molested every time you want to travel anywhere. You got to
Yeah,
have
so
papers
that's
and
another
all
thing. They don't want us to be traveling around the way that we're doing it, right? And this is why they haven't updated the planes. You know, I always wonder, like, why are we still flying around the same tin can that my grandparents did? Well, the reasons for that is because that those are all going to be gone. Okay, there's not going to be travel anymore for us. You know, we're going to be locked up in a 15-minute city in some pod that we talked about earlier. That's their end game. That's why they haven't given it to us, because it's a waste of money as far as they're concerned. Because all those planes are going to get demolished, and the only planes that are going to be available are for the ultra rich. They're, of
Yeah.
course, are going to have, planes and stuff like that. But for the rest of us, we're not going to be traveling. We're going to be locked up. There's probably going to be, fences with all aboard. I heard America's going to be districts. It's kind of like the Hunger Games, to be honest. And
Mm.
again, because we're mentioning that now, we get gaslit about what we got for
Yeah.
coming up because, oh, you just saw it in the movie. Oh, you
Uh,
just, you know what I mean? So that's how they do.
yeah.
That's why they do that. That's part of it. Is telling us what's going on, but then gaslight us once we start figuring it out.
Yeah,
So
but in all of those, with the roadmap that they've shown us all the way back to Logan's Run was one of the first post-apocalyptic movies that I saw that really brought this out. 1984 was another. There were Fahrenheit 450 or whatever the hell those numbers were. The Fahrenheit program. Well, all these had something in common. Another one was Aldous Huxley. He had a couple like this where there's people that go off the reservation. So they've got the reservations, the safe areas where you don't have to worry about getting sick and you don't have to worry about food because you get your tablets and whatever. You got
mhm.
all your entertainment and you got your drugs and you got your all of that provided for you in your little 15-minute city. But then there's
Yeah.
going to be the outlaws that don't have health care and we're out there living eating squirrels off of the land. And you know what? That's where I'm going to be. Like
Well, that's what I'll be too. Yeah, I know.
that's
That's what I've been preparing for, right? So we got it,
yeah.
but people aren't doing it. Like, I got friends of mine who are awake and all this, and then I start mentioning up things that what you're doing. You're literally like causing this to happen just by continuing the stupid habits that you got. Like,
Mhm.
you got to remember that if you're going to be an actual adversary to what's going on here, you're going to be an outlaw. You're going to be on your own. We're not going to have anything. Money will be gone, right? So we'll be back to the barter system. You got to start stocking up, get stuff that you can barter with, and but people just, even my friends who are awake, they just can't do it. There's like, well, yeah.
Funny is a lot of people are going, well, gosh, I hope the Chinese social credit score never makes its way over here. No, it's
Mhm.
here. It's an invisible score, but like I've got a really bad score. I can't rent at Airbnbs. I can't. At this point, I'm finding out I can't go to certain countries. That I am. I had my retirement, my 401ks all returned to me. Now I'm not allowed to retire. You're not allowed to partake in the investment system, and so
Wow.
that really hit me.
Oh,
Where it's like, okay, we're at that point. Okay, they can, and that's cool. I've got a bow and arrows, and I've got some ammunition. I can go hunt myself some food if I've got to, and I've got some food storage as well. So it's it's and
well, yeah. So what you need to do, instead of anybody that's got a 401k and all this kind of stuff, here it's called RSPs and whatever. Go and cash those things in, and if you have any excess money, go and get gold and silver, right? And that's where it's going to be at. Whoever
yeah.
has the gold essentially is going to be the winner in the future here.
Yeah, because
So,
we are going to see a complete split, and we're already seeing this in economies that we are going to have the operational
mhm,
black market economy that's going to have to run on some sort of I think there's going to be an alternative money, and I'm not talking about crypto. It's not going to be. It's going to be something you have to actually pass.
CBDC, yeah, CBDC is coming. It's already implemented here. It's just a matter of time before they're actually rolling it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to be
So,
getting into the basic universal income. That's another one that they're probably going to do. But the thing is, it sounds great and all, $2,000 a month. Sure, that sounds all great and all right now. But what's going to happen is that $2,000 isn't going to be worth $2,000 anymore. So you're
no.
probably not going to be able to pay your rent with that. You're probably not going to be, but now you've signed the thing, agreeing to it,
Mhm.
and that's where they get you, because nobody reads the fine line, the fine
Well,
print.
that was even one of the things where when Joe Rogan was interviewing Elon Musk about his brain implants, what do you call it, the Neuralink, that he says, well, this
Yeah,
is going to be like ridiculously expensive, and Elon says, well, yeah, it's going to be unaffordable for anybody. But the fact that you're gonna quadruple your brain power, you're gonna be able to get make so much more money, and it's not gonna be a problem. So you can just take out a loan for that. And that was it. That was the instant. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. Now you're in debt for your what's inside your body at this point. That's wow. That's crazy. I've never really gotten into debt. I've taken on more debt the past few years with a house and a car and I've never done that before. Debt is such an insidious thing. It is such a like a wow, like that you can be under somebody's thumb so thoroughly.
and
Um,
even when you paid it off, that's what blows me away, is that even though you've paid it off, like I see seniors here, spent their whole life working, paying off this house, right? Now they're retired. Now they can't afford the property tax. So they got to freaking sell it because of that and go and rent anyways. Like, the
yeah,
system is not set up for us. It's set up for them. And there's no winning for us here. It doesn't
yeah.
matter what we do. It's not gonna,
But really quickly too, because like thinking like it really was only a couple generations ago, a few generations ago, that this was complete wilderness. And if you wanted to make your way anywhere in North America, well, you had nothing. You had to you take yourself whatever seeds you wanted to plant. You had to go make your own farm by chopping down your own trees. Every single bit of it was
yeah.
on the individual. And and it's so crazy how even just thinking about like automobiles. The automobile gets created. Henry Ford does his thing to be able to mass produce them. And it's like, okay, cool. That's a really cool innovation. But to see how it's spread everywhere, everybody takes it on. There is a there is a program underway of spreading technology, having us all tinker with it and give it our input, and creating more technology and more technology.
I
And I
know.
think like I don't there were a lot of tech giants that were saying we need to put a stop on or at least pause on AI development. And I'm like, I think we need to do that for all development. Like let's just
Yeah,
stop all.
I know.
But
Technology has not really served us, the way that we think. Yes, it's convenient, and yes, it's actually made us more lazy and complacent because we got other things doing things for us now. But even our cognitive abilities are declining. We're getting dumber and dumber.
Mhm.
Every generation, like you go and talk to any young person now, he doesn't know how to read the time on a clock. He doesn't know
Yeah.
how to count change, the cat, like, everything is done for you, right? And even typing nowadays, people don't know how to type. They know how to do LOL. Sure, I'm texting and whatever, but they
Mhm.
don't know. Like, so all our abilities that we relied on, that got us this far, all these skills are gone. And now they've taken the cursive language out of the curriculum, so that the young people nowadays can't write it, and they
Mhm.
can not read any of the old books. So they're
Mhm.
not going to be able to be able to understand any of the old stuff, right? So, like, this is all done on purpose, guys. And the thing is that we need to go back to the way it was, so that, we're self-sufficient. We're not relying on the government or anybody else for that matter. And I'm going on a rant now, but, JP
Yeah,
Morgan said it back in the day, right? If I can't put a meter on it, we don't want it. And that
Mhm.
was electricity back in the day, right? Because we have the technology. We don't have to be paying for hydro and stuff, but they can't make money on that. So that's why we're only getting the stuff that they can put a meter on. so that they can tax us and charge us and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah. But
you know,
I do get a really strong feeling though that it's not they're not they're the what's going on is not about what's happening now. I keep saying this. It's not about what's happening now. It's not a response to what's happening now. It is a preparation for something that's coming, and something that they know about, that they're creating underground facilities to hide away
yeah.
from.
I know,
Uh,
the event they call it. We don't know
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what that is, 'cause they're throwing out so many. It could be a solar thing. It could be a war. It could be a meteorite coming. They've thrown out so many things so that we don't figure out exactly what's going on. Right? That's what they've done. But we
Yeah,
know
yeah.
something is coming. We just don't know which one of those is it going to be. You know.
Well, it's funny because a few years ago, I
Uh,
started seeing that I started seeing them pushing into the news cycle a lot of watch out for this dangerous asteroid. There's another
yeah.
dangerous
Every
asteroid.
week there's another thing. I know.
Yeah,
To keep
yeah.
us in fear, right? To keep us confused, to keep us, at each other, so like we're fighting over the stupidest little things, right? And
Hmm.
this is all done on purpose. But yeah, I guess we're getting on almost an hour and a half. We should probably
Okay.
wrap it up somehow.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
I think you know
Well,
what I want to say too, to kind of close it up too. I had like a download, I guess, 2018. All of a sudden, this knowing came over me that, oh, I'm not gonna make it to old age. I'm not gonna have
mm,
to worry about being old. I'm never gonna
mm,
be an old lady. And then I talked to other people who do this kind of work too, and they're like, "Yeah, a lot of my clients are saying the same thing. Young people who are not old or diseased or anything, just getting that feeling that I'm not going to live that much longer." Now, this was 5 years ago, so obviously it wasn't like right away, but I do think that yeah, we're probably all gonna be heading out of here at the same time.
yeah.
Why or how, I don't know, but I think there is some kind of event that's going to happen. We're all exiting out of here fairly soon.
Uh,
Like,
I'm I'm
yeah,
at peace with that. I'm at peace with that. I'm all right with that. Like,
me too. I'm not too worried about it, but it was sure it would be nice to kind of know and so that we could prepare. But then again, there'll be mass hysteria and all this kind of stuff. Everybody would stop working, so society would collapse if they did. So I get
yeah.
it. I get it. Why they're not
One
telling
one
us,
of
but
the one of the things that I have been told about what's coming is that there's going to be a lot of people panicking, and they're going to be looking around. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. You're going to see it in people's eyes. They're going to be looking around for anybody who has a sense of calmness and certainty, like anybody who seems like they know what's going on, and so it's like I feel like for me, the only way to develop that, because it's unclear what's happening, is just to be okay with whatever comes, and I'll do my best to deal with it. I'll do my best to help others, because that's one thing that I've really, I'll tell you what, I go through some depression moments, and get to a point of being like, what's the point of all of this? It's so hopeless. It's really hopeless. But really, what keeps me going in life is like it's not about me. I'm able to be of service to other people, and so as long as I can be of service to others, I'll stay here and do my best. But there's a big part of me. uh, it would be really nice to die old and just be snuggled in bed with Serafina, and we both just die at the exact same moment. That'd be great. But I do have that feeling of it. I don't know. Things are probably gonna get pretty rough.
yeah, I'm sure there are going to be survivors, obviously, right? And that's going to continue on. We've been here many times. There's evidence of that. We get to a certain point with our technology, I think, is where the downfall is, and then we mess it up somehow for
Mhm.
ourselves. So no doubt
Well,
that the Earth is going to bounce back for sure, and I'm sure we will too. We're pretty resilient that way, as a
well,
species. So.
I asked Papa Legba what to do about it, and specifically what I asked is, I said, what can we start doing to turn the tide? I'm seeing the direction it's going. Let's pull this horse and go another direction. He says, no, 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 that's not possible. The only thing you can do now is get to your sanctuary. That was before I bought this property, and that's a big part of why I bought the property I'm at. And
Mhm.
sure enough, like it's a pretty secluded space. If they're, if Vegas goes up in a mushroom cloud, that's a pretty nearby city. But there's enough
Yeah.
canyon walls between here and there. I'm high enough up in the mountains. I might make it through some rough stuff, and so we'll see. Like I said, I'm not going without a fight. They're gonna remember my
Yeah, me
name.
too. I know, me too. Although I'm saying that I'm right here in the city. I got my
Yeah,
kid here, my grandkid here. I'm not going anywhere. If we're going
yeah.
down, because I'm on the coast, apparently if there's tides and all this, there's so many ways to die around here. Like I know that I'm probably aren't in the safest place,
I'm I'm
but
I'm not a believer in bugging out. A lot of people have this idea. They're like, I got to have a bug out bag and have a secondary location. That's going to do you no good. You've got to figure
I
out how
have a
you
bug out
supply
bag, but
regular.
I ain't got no location. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like, where are you going to go? You're only going to go as far as that gas tank can get you. We're all
yeah.
going to be there, wherever the gas tank, because there was no more gas, right? So,
So
yeah,
guess what I'm doing?
that's
Guess what I'm doing this spring as it starts getting a little warmer. I'm going to start getting back into bicycle riding, and I'm feeling that pull because of what exactly what you just said. Like if I've got to get somewhere, bicycle, it doesn't require gas,
a lot quicker than walking. That's right. Yeah,
yeah.
and if like you were in a perfect place where you could start digging a little bunker in your backyard or something, like it wouldn't be that hard. Like, and nobody would even probably know, or even get something out in the desert there. I would be doing that if I was you for sure. Yeah.
There are areas here that are that ancient civilizations have set up their little spots. I mean, you can see where the foundations of some of the buildings are at and stuff, and those
Yeah.
are highly protected areas. And so there's actually spots not very far from here. If shit went down and I needed to get protected, there are caves and stuff I could definitely go to for sure.
Oh, there you
Um,
go. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, my hope is like none of that happens. I ride a bicycle and I just get like a little more fit and
You're
happier
like,
in life. Maybe
yeah.
things just I would really, I've got my fingers crossed for this transition being a transformation that we can glide through in physical form. If not, I have no doubt we are still in this transformation. And so that's one of the big things that's really come to me is like not just this lifetime, but specifically this last few years, we've all been in a big cocoon. And I think my prediction is sometime around 2025, that cocoon is breaking open. And if that means the destruction of all things, cool. If not, then that's even better. But either way, I think that we're coming out of this cocoon into another form.
Yeah, there's definitely a transformation going on, and I do believe apocalypse means the big revealing. Revelation means the big revealing, and that's what's happening. People are waking up. They're starting to
Yeah.
realize what's going on here, right? And that's what it's all about. It's
Oh,
not what they're.
we're seeing the
Yeah,
breakdown of the matrix. We're seeing the breakdown of the illusion,
yeah,
and I do think that that's part of what this coming event is that whatever we're being shown a big lie with a lot of things, and I do think somehow that's breaking down, and it's all going to be revealed because that is part of the apocalyptic revelation is that that all secrets will be known, everything will be known, and that's what we're coming to. So
that's what's happening here. Yeah, exactly. So, I'm hoping that maybe by us, if we can wake up quick enough and enough of us are awake, that maybe their plans are going to fizzle out. It's like, oh, well, they already know that we're going to do this now. So we better make up some other plans then. So hopefully maybe by just coming out here like this, that we are making a change, because somehow this is getting out in the matrix right now. And so
the,
they're listening. They know that we know, and so hopefully that will change things up, and that's this. It's going to be all good. So
with that, one of the things is that's out there is that the reason that they put out movies and news reports about what they're about to do is that there's some sort of law of will or of consent that they're bound by, and so they have to tell us what they're going to do. And if nobody objects, then they consider, hey, nobody stopped us. We told them what they're going to do, but they let us. They wanted this. And so that's part of what I think we're doing is, no, we do not consent. We do not consent to
right.
being slaves, and we're going to fight you the whole way. And so I think if we get enough people that just simply say, no, I'm not going to comply. I'm not going to go along with your slave camps. I'm not going to go into your 15-minute cities. If I've got to go eat squirrels, I'll eat goddamn squirrels. No, you can keep your bugs.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping too, that, you know, so that's kind of why we're doing this, you know, literally sticking our necks out, you know, but, you know, not going down without a fight. So there you go. I'm doing my bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, yeah. All right, Nina, it's been awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been fun. And, I'm hoping that we can do this more on a regular basis. And,
That'd be cool.
yeah, I think the
Yeah,
audience will
absolutely.
love that. So make sure that you guys are liking, okay, sharing, subscribing. Obviously, go and check out Eric's links down below. He is on Odyssey live every Wednesday. So go and check him out there. And yeah, thank you all for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.